Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another highly illogical podcast brought to you by NerdTube. I am Cousin Cheeto, and I am joined by an illustrious panel of Trekkies. First off, Jefferson, Big J, how you doing, Big Daddy?
Doing good, thank you.
I know you're a little upset you're not the power bottom this week, but I mean, it's
I'm
other,
so hurt.
And just further over that way is Major Rage. How you doing, Big Daddy?
Doing great, proud to be here. Excited to talk about this very special topic after the special day yesterday.
Yes, it is a very special day yesterday. And then down below him, we have Ensign Adam. How are you
I was
doing?
the channel's power bottom.
Yeah, now you're the you and V-Man have to share the power bottom slot.
My every dream.
V-Man, how you doing? Everybody knows you. You are the Stan Lee of fan films, the Ayatollah of fan film rolla, Captain Menard himself, V-Man.
I'm good, man.
You're not finer than Froghair, though? See that?
I'm running behind today, so that's all you get. That's all you get today.
Well, that's okay, because and this is what we're talking about. We're talking about relationships of Star Trek. So, so I just figured we'll kind of go around the room, talk about our favorite couples and relationships in Star Trek, and the significance they have on the shows that they were on. And then afterwards, we'll maybe go and do some like shipping. Like, I think it would have been better if like Tom and Janeway stayed behind and like raised their salamander kids.
Now is this just talking about like friendships or like the romantic relationships?
Yeah, romantic relationships. Yeah, like but we totally ship Garrick and Bashir here, or is it called Basharik? So.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh, you didn't know about that?
I didn't know the name, but I definitely shipped them too.
Yeah, right. Oh, Basharik is awesome. Okay, and then just really quick in the chats, we got Nerdiverse saying I always liked Picard and Q's bromance, and we can talk about bromances. We can talk about whatever. I just figured
I would ship them.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if
Picard is Q's pet.
This is true. And then Winslow's only hope says, "Hey." All right. So man, they're really laying on the horn today, aren't they, Vance?
Back it up.
It's like it's like Josh and I call it the meat whistle. So that's
the meat whistle. All right, so I'm going to start with my favorite couple, and I'm going to start, and I want to talk about Dax and Bashir. Dax and Bashir, Dax and Worf. So, I guess Dax and Bashir was technically a couple at one point, at the end, but I don't want to talk about that one. I want to talk about Worf and Jadzia. So, I don't know. I mean, I really liked the couple. You really saw them grow. Jadzia Dax was always a very interesting character from the get-go. And then for her to get into a relationship with Worf, it really complimented Worf, I felt, as a character. Like, the Deanna Worf thing did not work, period. Like, it did not work at all. That's like Joey and Rachel on Friends.
In their reunion in Picard Season 3, though.
Okay.
Where he just goes on and on, and...
I mean, if they were setting up a...
Riker. This is the worst rescue ever.
I mean, if they were setting up a 25-year joke for later, then I guess it's okay. But, yeah. I mean...
Right.
What I liked about the Worf and Jadzia Dax relationship is that it wasn't treated like... it seemed like the way that relationships in Trek were handled in the 90s was to save it for the series finale. Don't commit to a relationship storyline until you don't have to put a whole lot of time and effort into it. Because to me, the Worf and Troy relationship, it was seen some in what was the name of the episode where Worf kept hopping between different
parallels?
So hinted at a little bit there, and then boom, suddenly, in All Good Things, Worf and Troy are hanging out dating. It's the kind of the same as how Chakotay and Seven of Nine were handled. It was just they woke up one morning and suddenly, boom, season finale. or series finale. Let's be in a relationship. Now, in their defense, when I went back and rewatched Voyager, there was like a one other, maybe two other episode build up of that. So they had a little bit of a lead in, but that was kind of how the '90s writing was that they waited until it was either some kind of alternate reality or the end of the series. Whereas with DS9, with Worf and Jadzia, I'm glad that was handled in a way that you could get more of their relationship than just at the very end. And it was very good to see another married couple on there besides Miles O'Brien and Keiko O'Brien. I hated that relationship, but I won't go there. And I think Worf and Jadzia as a couple were great. I think that was a very good call to put those two in a relationship. It seemed like a natural fit. It didn't seem like it came out of nowhere. You know, it had a decent buildup, and it didn't feel like it was done just for the shock value.
It's almost like the people who wrote Deep Space Nine and the showrunner knew what the hell they were doing.
Really? You could be right. Maybe it's. I'll do you one better. It almost seems like this is what we got when we didn't have interference from Rick Berman and Brandon Braga.
I mean, those guys know relationships. Like, they know true blue relationships, you know?
Yeah.
Stick your woman in a cat suit, she'll love you forever. There we go.
Yeah.
Mage, anything to add on Jadzia and Worf?
You guys pretty much said, most of what I would have had to say. I especially agree with the fact that what makes that relationship so special is the fact that it developed organically over time. It didn't come out of nowhere, so it felt earned. There was a payoff, an actual payoff when they got married, and it made it special. It made it a great moment. So I especially appreciate that. I feel like that's where the rest of the relationships in the series, other than the one I'll speak of when it's my turn, have going for them.
All right. Ensign Adam, what are your thoughts on Jadzia and Worf?
My thoughts are that I need to get on it and actually watch DS9 all the way through. Because I'm missing out.
You are missing out.
Mm-hmm.
V-Man!
I love Jadzia, though. So.
Oh, yeah. Jadzia is like my favorite character, like my favorite main character on that show. Nog is my actual favorite character. V-Man ran away as soon as I asked him what he wanted to do.
Real quick, there's a great scene. Who's the Klingon that she meets? Curzon? Or no, that's the previous.
That's
name.
the previous Trill. You mean Korg? No, is it Korg?
Where he comes in and he says,
"It's Core."
I thought it was Core.
There's a great scene with those two where she corrects him on her new name and everything. But anyway.
Yeah, where the whole dead naming thing that meme comes from.
Yeah,
which is good. I mean, that's the thing though, is that Trek was preaching.
That's the little step that they took in that era. But anyway,
it's I don't know when I don't know when Trek got woke, but I mean they need to stop it nowadays because it's never been woke before.
It's so preachy.
It is
now.
So
it was never preachy before either.
I'm leading us off topic. Go ahead.
V-Man, any thoughts on Worf and Jadzia? How much do you absolutely loathe their relationship? I mean, just tell me.
It's one of the top ones actually in all of Trek. The thing that works about them is they started off as friends and people that had a mutual respect for not only each other but the culture that they come from, being Klingons. Jadzia knowing the rich history and understanding Worf from a different perspective from almost anybody outside of O'Brien, and them growing that friendship to when she says, "Hey, I actually have feelings for you." It doesn't come as a random surprise or a knee-jerk reaction just to give the character something to do. It comes from an organic place that you look at that and go, "Yeah, I buy that." Whereas with the Troy relationship, you're like, what the fuck is that? Or the Chakotay 7 and 9, where you're like, the fuck, where did this come from? Very much along the same lines as where the Doctor and 7 and 9 relationship comes from, where you're like, yeah, I buy that because they spend so much time together, and that happens organically. The Troy Worf relationship, it grew, and not only from the dating aspect, but then when they finally get married, like everything grew organically. And then when she dies, it's just tragic because you get that whole relationship of the kid, and then it's taken away, and you're just like, fuck, dude. Like the whole relationship it's like a real true to life marriage, and those people who watch the show, they live vicariously through those characters. I mean, it's very strong, and it's done realistically. So that's one of the things DS9 got right on so many levels. When you take like the Nog arc from someone who wants to stand up and grow to be something better, I mean, that's realistic. The Jadzia relationship with Worf, I mean, that's one of the best done relationships just because of how realistically it's done, where so many writers, they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. So I like it.
Is that where your love for writing all of Menard's girlfriends being killed came from?
Hey, I got a bunch of bodies in my backyard that, I got to explain it somehow, so don't check my backyard.
I'm not. I'm
Freshly
not.
dug graves.
Hey, spoilers on Jadzia dying. Come on, man.
Yeah,
hey, it's a 30-year-old show, man. If you can't get spoilers at this point, forgive me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, seriously, get on it. Come on, Internet. Okay, so Jefferson, why don't you go next? Tell us your favorite, or at least if Jadzia and Worf are your favorite, your second favorite. Just throw one out there that you really love.
No, I think it was either just before we went live, right after we were talking about romantic relationships. Since this is kind of a post Valentine's Day huddle, because there are a lot of friendships they had, but in regards to romantic relationships, trying to think of one besides Worf and Jadzia is kind of tricky. I would have to say the only other one that I felt like was given good build-up and was one that I could at least see as having some kind of investment and payoff would be Odo and Kira, which, again, from the same house, same place, in DS9, because when you're dealing with competent writers and storytellers, then you have the opportunity to get things like that. And they had a history for so long, and kind of a contentious history. They weren't always two people that saw eye to eye. And really, for all intents and purposes, Odo is a collaborator. Now, why he wasn't come down as harshly as a collaborator from Kira, I don't know. I'm not. I think I could guess as to what maybe his past, his hall pass was on that.
He can form any part of his body any way he wants.
Come on, Cheeto. I was trying to think of an honorable explanation for it.
Here.
That is honorable.
No, but I mean, really, because she was such a hardliner on the whole occupation thing that you would have thought, and maybe she did kind of hold that grudge for a while. Maybe she didn't really necessarily let him off in regards to that. But am I wrong? Am I wrong in saying that if you really want to get technical about it, Odo was a collaborator?
No, I mean, you're right. Odo was technically a collaborator. So, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, and maybe that is one of those rare instances where the writing wasn't as great, because you figure that would be a huge contentious point.
Well, in a time when like the rules were kind of thrown out the window, he was the most stable person around and the most respectable person. And I think in a time where the Cardassians are daring you to step over the line, he was the one that was going, hey, let's keep the peace. And so I don't think they saw him as a collaborator at all. I think they looked at him as a person who kept the ground safe. So I think they look at him as the peacekeeper, honestly, if I'm being honest. So I don't think collaboration's particularly the word that they would use. Peacekeeper, given the circumstances.
Didn't they call him a collaborator though at that point? Like, didn't Kira flat out call him a collaborator?
I don't recall that. I mean, I'm sure some probably did in some episodes, and they have every right to. But I mean, given the circumstances, when you have Kardashians who are slaughtering you left and right, and then you have Odo who's like, "Look, here's what we're doing." Now, I know there was one episode where he executes, I think, like 3 Bajorans or whatever, and it's kind of like a flashback of Odo doing some shit.
Yeah, that's the episode I'm thinking of. I thought he was called. I thought Kira called him a collaborator at the end of that episode.
There were a non-zero amount of times that Odo was called a collaborator in the run of DS9.
But I think overall he wasn't seen that way. It was more of a under the circumstances, this is the best it's going to get, because it could be a lot worse if the Kardashians were just left to muck. Because he was the one person that both sides could look at and go, he's fair, So. But I agree with you on your stance of Kira and Odo, given the fact that this was perfectly done. The will they, won't they? Because we knew his feelings since early season 3, and that was kind of brought up from, kind of a what, since he was trapped by that changeling, because they were trying to taunt him to come to their side, and that was left, I think, for 2 years without her even knowing that he was feeling anything. So, they would just drip you a little bit here and there. And then even when she found out, there was no romantic, until after the Dominion took over the station. So again, they still were dripping you stuff, so when it finally came, it was, for me, very satisfying. And it was kind of disheartening to find out that both actors really didn't want that relationship to happen. They were more interested in them staying friends. But as a fan, I loved their relationship. I thought it was great. I agree with you. I think it was almost as satisfying as Worf and Dax.
All right, Mage?
That's one that I've never felt worked. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it, but it's just that one I kind of side with Nana Visitor and Renee Auberjonois on. I kind of wish they had stayed just friends. I don't have like a justification or an argument for why I feel that way, though. So it's weak sauce opinion.
I know you, Ensign. You haven't seen that far into DS9.
Well, knowing the characters a little bit, probably just from before that comes up in the show, I don't see it.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to picture it since I've not gotten to that part in the show. So
there's a trading card.
There's a trading card.
First intimacy. I shit you not.
Yeah, look it up. I actually side with Mage and Ensign Adam at this point. I did not like that relationship. I thought, and it's kind of the same. It's like I can't put my finger on it, and I don't even want to say it wasn't earned, because you're right, Jefferson. They did lean it, like they did. Oh yeah.
Oh my.
They did telegraph it a little bit, but it just for some reason just didn't feel. It didn't feel organic. I don't know. To me, I don't know. So, all right.
Well, I gotta dip out. I gotta grab my numbers in about 2 minutes. So I'm gonna.
Right, who's your couple really quick, so we can talk about it while you're gone.
So we can judge your.
I honestly, I would have said Troy and Worf, or not Troy and Worf, Dax and Worf. Yeah, fuck that. But I would say Dax and Worf. But given the fact that it was already taken, I would say I hate Troy as a character, but but I really love the relationship with her and Riker in Star Trek Picard when they are on that little hippie planet. I love that. And I hated Star Trek Picard season 1. I thought it was one of the worst seasons of Star Trek ever. But I loved that because it was kind of like they went through all of Next Gen. They went through those atrocious Next Gen movies. And then we get to their kind of retirement. And I loved the vibe of the Imzadi in Picard season 3. And I loved that. And everything about the relationship that was hinted at in the series was shown in Picard season 3. And I loved that. It made me fall in love with that relationship. Even though I don't like Troy as a character, because I feel like she's ultimately kind of useless by just being hey, they're mad. Well, no shit, they're firing torpedoes at us.
The ship.
Well, no joke. But I really bought that relationship and the star-crossed lovers mentality that it was supposed to be all along. And you never got that when you're writing for that type of television that you were doing in the late 80s and early 90s for a television show. And I felt like that was finally allowed to spread its wings in Picard season 3. So I would say that relationship, given the fact that we finally got that in Picard, had it not been for Picard season 3 and Picard season 1, that one episode, I probably wouldn't feel as good as I do for that relationship because it's always just out of reach. But given the fact we saw the full circle of that relationship, I really like that, because it kind of gives us who are kind of getting up there in age now, who are in our middle ages and kind of getting older, that, hey, maybe we can enjoy our retirement, and they did, so I like that, to me, I think that's very charming. So, but okay. I got to go, guys. Enjoy the conversation. I'll be watching you guys when I get back. So enjoy the conversation and keep on geeking on, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, see ya.
See ya. I feel like Deanna and Riker are just classic. When I
When you
think
say
of a relationship,
classic, what do you mean?
For Trek. I mean, when I think of any relationship for Trek, that's probably the first one that would come to mind.
Okay.
That's the one that I originally had on the thumbnail, and then when somebody mentioned Garrick and Bashir, I'm like, oh, that's just great. Like
When I
yeah, right. I think that was you. That
I made Zan mad about it. But the other thing I'll say is that's why we got to see that in Picard, which was a great part of Picard, seeing a little bit more of Riker and Deanna. Also, why there needs to be a Titan spinoff of Lower Decks so we can see more of Deanna and Riker. But anyway.
All right, Mage. We'll go backwards now. Riker and Deanna.
I enjoy that relationship a lot. I like the fact that it takes so long. I like the fact that their friendship is very strong. It shows a maturity of the two characters that they could be in a relationship beforehand and then not only just work amicably together but remain really good friends. And I like that. It shows a maturity that I try that I think that's kind of an aspirational thing just as much as the lack of material want is for in the Star Trek future, is for people to be more willing to give each other grace and the like, and just but no, that's stupid. I'm sorry. No, good relationship.
Well, and here's the thing. I see where you were kind of heading with that, Mage, because let's be real. Like that's another relationship in Star Trek that always was will they, won't they, and they also have a past because as soon as they saw each other on Encounter at Farpoint, like there was that spark there that kind of was like, oh, you.
Yeah.
Like,
And they wanted to get back together, but there was always something in the way, and it's just
Well, Riker is very career minded.
indeed.
That was the thing, was he was in it for the career, and I think that was something he realizes, that relationships in Starfleet are certainly a hazard,
You
very
don't.
much a hazard, especially if it's with someone that you serve on the same ship with, and someone who is subordinate.
Yeah, double layers of complication, and it's generally a bad idea to shit where you eat.
Yes, yes, and especially if the person is either your subordinate or superior. I mean,
They
that
all-
is just everything there. If there was a recipe for disaster that was written down on something, there were several check marks that were done there, and I could certainly see the cause for hesitation there, and for putting that off the way that they did, because it's you can really get into a position where you could jeopardize yourself and your own decision making when you put yourself in a situation like that, and without getting too spoilery for Adam's sake. There was an example that we saw of how a person that you're in a relationship with can have an adverse effect on your decision making in a critical mission. I don't think I can really
Don't
go
say
any.
the spoilers for me. Go ahead.
Well, it was the one where Worf had to meet up with the informant dude on that planet, and it was someone who was defecting. I think some Cardassian that was defecting from the Dominion, and it was like meet up with that guy or save Jadzia. You guys remember that one?
Oh.
Yeah, and so the decision he made there was one based on, it was absolutely a personal decision.
obviously, it didn't stick though because he was the captain of the Enterprise E eventually. So
Right.
We don't talk
Yeah.
about
The block on ever getting promoted to, well, it was at the time, I believe the block was it that he would not be promoted to commander because
no, it was he would never have his own command.
never have his own command, because he was lieutenant commander as he got promoted in Star Trek Generations, and then if I recall, up to and including in Nemesis, he was still not a full rank commander, still lieutenant commander. I'd have
And
to.
then he became what, ambassador or liaison or something at the end of DS9. So
Well, yeah, at the end of DS9, he became ambassador for like a weekend,
Yeah.
and then went to Deanna and Riker's wedding, and then ended up on the Enterprise again.
Prepare for ramming speed.
But yeah, right. That's and that's the thing, and that's on top of everything else, Riker is the first officer of the Federation flagship, and you want him to be in a relationship with your ship's counselor. There's all kinds of just disaster sitting there waiting to happen. So I think that they handled it very professionally, and I'm on that one. I'm glad that we didn't go full on them getting back together until Insurrection, because there were just too many complications sitting there waiting to go in that situation.
yeah, and I mean, it would have just been what's the word I'm looking for? Controversy, not controversy bait. Drama bait. Like it just So I know I get that,
Yeah.
and I agree too. Is that it? I think it did the right thing that they would get married, and then Riker would go off to the Titan. It still does. It is still kind of weird though that Deanna was technically what the counselor on the Titan,
Yeah.
and he was the captain. But I feel like them going to a new command with that, like that's like if you go with when you're working with somebody, like if you're married already and you go into a job and it's already established, that's one thing. But when you're just dating and you're in a job together, that's a whole different ball game. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
change the dynamic in the
Yeah,
middle
like if you're-
of the gig. Like the employer didn't, take that part of it in consideration when they hired you. It's just kind of when you start changing established dynamics, things get wonky really quick.
Mhm.
And you add the stress of working together with eventually living together and just that proximity all the time. That's another recipe for disaster.
Which, yeah,
I've seen it happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it's like, but if they go into a work situation,
Mhm.
they're already married. That's
Completely
a totally,
different.
That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
completely
Yeah.
different dynamic.
Well, and plus,
Very good
it's
point.
it's Riker's command, so now he's at the I can do whatever the hell I want. It's my ship.
Oh, he can
Kind
sleep
of
with
thing.
green chicks now.
Yeah.
So, all right,
There's a testament
wait.
to their relationship that Riker went through so many women throughout TNG, but they still ended up together.
I don't think. I think somebody went and broke it down. I don't think he went through that many women, honestly.
He didn't beat Kirk, did he?
I don't think he'd even be Kirk in 7 seasons. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that there was like interest in like, but like women that he's like even kissed or slept with. I mean, it's definitely like I think not as many as we think.
I can tell you that there's definitely a false inflation between Riker getting the girls and with Kirk as well. If any of you haven't done it, I would say if you haven't either ever or recently, I'm talking within the last maybe 5+ years. If you go back through and rewatch TOS, you'll be amazed at how many things we've blown out of proportion from that series. One is Shatner's acting style with Kirk, how it was kind of over lampooned, I think, for lack of a better word. Kirk may have come off presented as that with how he's parodied maybe once. It was not very often. And in regards to the women, it wasn't a lot. It wasn't that often. It's not. It's the fish that you caught that got bigger and bigger and bigger as you tell the story.
Yeah,
It's crazy because you go into it with this. Oh yeah, Kirk. During the run of TOS, there was like 30 ladies that he's shagging up with and all that, and it was like maybe 4.
It was probably Shatner just starting those rumors or starting.
well,
Like,
and the
it
other
was-
thing I'll say is that I
yeah.
don't think anyone else was getting like. I think the one thing about the Shatner relationships is that no one else was getting any play. You know what I mean? Like Spock wasn't, Sulu wasn't, Chekhov wasn't, McCoy wasn't.
Spock
Scotty
got a
wasn't.
little bit. Spock
Who?
got a little bit.
A
Spock.
little bit,
Spock got a little bit.
a
in
little.
the Kelvin timeline, Spock got a lot.
Yeah, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I think it seems like Kirk had so much more just because he was the only one who was getting play in the show.
Yeah, and here's the
So-
other thing: is that you have to remember, we have no reason to believe that with Riker and with Kirk that the majority of this wasn't a lot of flirting. I mean, the guys were smooth with the ladies. Were they getting laid all the time? I don't know. We don't know.
It's off screen.
It's off screen. Maybe they were. Maybe they weren't. And that's the thing is you can't assume that flirtation always leads to the third base coach waving you in to take it home. It could just be bring it in. It could have just been been that, you know, a lot of flirtation. And that's kind of the thing, is so much of it was off screen, and we tend to have kind of blown it up. I would venture to say that in my opinion, I would have to say, if you said, Big J, all right, just lay it on us. How many women do you think Riker slept with while serving on the Enterprise D? Keeping in mind that he does eventually get back together with Deanna. And what about Deanna? Now we know for sure Worf is one. I mean, so there's that jealousy.
And we don't know that Riker did not check up with Worf either. I mean, you never know.
Now that's a series I would watch.
You know, I mean, I would have to say I would be surprised if Riker had more than like a 3 or 4 body count while he was serving on the Enterprise D. Something tells me that he wasn't slaying it. Yeah, I don't think he was slaying it during his time there, and was just totally promiscuous.
Yes,
that's just my feeling.
Keep in mind, three or four ladies in a 7-year period is pretty good for nerds and Trekkies like us. So I mean,
it's all about perspective.
Yeah, it's all about perspective.
None of us are Riker. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's true. Although I'm kind of working on
Kirk.
it. Although
You know,
Ensign Adams got the beard, he's got that going on pretty well. All right, Major Rage. I don't think you've done one. Give it
Not
to us.
yet.
Lay it on us, my bud.
Big spoon, little spoon. I am team T'Pol and Trip.
Okay.
And I listed them in that order on purpose. Because T'Pol's definitely in charge.
You think so?
She wears the catsuit in the relationship.
Is it Mind Your Seniors in this?
And, yeah, I mean, maybe he's got a mommy kink.
Oh God! You had to make it weird.
I had to, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Adam left. It's so terrible.
He was
like,
so
nope.
disturbed and disgusted. Like, nope, I'm done. Fake news.
DC'd.
Whoa, we're talking about those kind of Star Trek relationships. All right.
I mean,
I
come on,
didn't do that kind of research.
Nobody's mentioned Luoxana and Odo yet, so I mean,
Listen, Luxwana was the one thing I feel like we didn't mention when talking about Troy and Riker.
that's true. We didn't.
Meddling mom.
I mean, but where would Luoxana fit in this whole thing?
Sorry to go on a tangent.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, she wasn't in the wedding, was she?
No. I think she had already passed away at that point.
Yeah,
So Riker
Majel
waited till
Barrett
the
Roddenberry had
mother-in-law.
passed away by now.
Yeah, Riker waited till the mother-in-law died before getting married to Deanna.
Well, I mean, the actress, I always say her first
Uh,
name wrong.
Margel.
Margel. Majel Barrett. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to get us canceled. You can't pronounce the name of the
Majel
first
Barrett,
lady
yeah.
of Star Trek.
The very first lady of Star Trek. You're right.
Listen, to anyone watching this, I don't associate with these guys. I am a guest. I know who Majel Barrett Roddenberry was.
I know who she was.
If anyone's getting canceled,
first name.
I could pronounce.
So.
If you guys are getting yourselves canceled, I'm just saying. That might be a bannable offense right there. You might have pitchforks scraping on your door.
I also can't really comment on mages because I haven't seen a lot of Enterprise. So back to you guys.
Okay, I think I forfeited my whole thing with my terrible joke, so apparently.
I mean, no, Trip and T'Pol, I like that relationship. That's another one. It did get weird at some points, but I don't know if I'd actually call it a relation. I mean, I would kind of categorize that as a Vulcan fling. I mean, we saw it with
Ponsar?
No, we saw it with Spock and Chapel in Strange New Worlds. You know, like Vulcans are so weird with their relationships.
They are.
Like Trip's like I'm all in. I mean, I'd be too, but I'm like, but then she's just being all fickle about it. Same, and it's like the opposite though with Chapel and Spock. Spock's all in, and Chapel's like, yeah, I don't know, you're being a bit much.
Well, no, but T'Pol was so worried about like societal judgment and stuff. Like, she was just conditioned to think that it was like the worst thing ever to have feelings for a human.
Yeah, and
So there was a lot of pressure there. So I mean, there's a bit of allegory there in that relationship, which is
Yeah.
part of why I like it.
you're right.
It's a very Trek relationship to try to talk about like something as sensitive as uh,
There were more societal norms being broken then than it was once we came around to Sarek.
yes, it's earlier days, and it's. I mean, it was the point where it was a taboo for her to go and leave the embassy and go to the jazz club
Mm-hmm.
in that one flashback scene. So this is it's fraternizing with the enemy almost.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, I would go as far as to say it's kind of allegorical for interracial relationships a little bit. And so I feel that it's a very Trek relationship for reasons like that. I feel like it was well earned because it kind of happened over time. It was something that we got robbed of seeing it actually pay off, and in the fact that it was tragically canceled too soon because it got rolling too late.
Mm-hmm.
Manny Koto didn't show up in time to save the day until it was too late, unfortunately. But and then these are the voyages, kind of rolling it back.
God.
Yeah, no. So it's I almost don't count it saying that they didn't end up working out.
Well, we all
It's just
know
like-
that Trip survived. So
Trip survived, so why? And he was hiding out. Why not? They could still be together.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe that's one that I read more into than is actually there, but I don't know. I feel like it was a good bit of serialization to Enterprise. It was like the one bit of serialization that Berman and Braga would actually let them do early days, instead of trying to be so much like the original series.
Well, I mean, that when Enterprise came along, it was more like throw everything against the wall and see what sticks.
Because they knew people were burned out. Trek
Mhm.
had been on the air continuously for so long. Since what, 88? So
Since 87.
87.
Yeah, we
So-
had a long run of Trek. So yeah, there
So it
was
was like
you're right.
14 years already by the time Enterprise came on the air. So
Mm-hmm. Yep.
people were burnt out, and that's a
Yeah.
debate for a different day.
Yeah. Ooh, Trek burnout's actually on my list.
Uh-oh.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, a
Nice.
Trek burnout conversation, but that's a topic, as you said, for another day. Okay, I think Ensign Adam, I think you're next. You haven't done yours, correct?
Yeah,
Please don't do Stamets and Kolber, just because.
why can't I?
You can. I'm kidding.
Okay, because I couldn't think of one that just as a favorite, but I couldn't. I would have to turn in my gay card if I didn't talk about Stamets and Colburn. So I skipped Discovery season 1. Well, admission there. I need to go back and rewatch it, but Stamets in season 2 and the bits of season 1 I've seen, he was a dick. He was, standoffish and what's the engineer that they rescue in season 2?
Oh,
Reno,
and the-
Jet Reno.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Reno. Yeah.
She really softens him up, and then they bring Colbur back, and they don't click immediately. They don't get back into their old groove because coming back to life is kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, traumatic maybe.
So, um, it's season 3 and 4. I think it I enjoy their relationship. It's nice to see they're the first queer relationship displayed on the show, or
Except
on
for
Star Trek.
Basharik, that.
But share. Oh well, we're shipping this at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Well, they're only unofficial because of Berman.
Yeah.
The writers and producers wanted them to be an
Yeah.
official couple.
And honestly, so did the guy who played Garrett too,
Andrew Robinson?
Yeah, Andrew Robinson. Yeah, he wanted. He said that's how he played that character when he was interacting with Bashir. He's like, I want Garrett to want Bashir, and that's how he played that character. Like he was flirting with him, like he, So, I think was it in What We Leave Behind, the documentary? He said that, or it might have just been in an interview somewhere. But
I'm going to say it was an interview because I saw the documentary, and I don't recall that being talked about then. So if it was brought up, I feel like it was probably
it might have been just an interview. I mean, I own the What We Leave Behind documentary, and I'm trying to. I've watched it a couple times, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I think it is, whatever. But no, it's actually Colbert and Stamets is actually kind of my runner up, But I didn't want to steal that one away from Adam.
At least. For new Trek, I guess is that since any show since Discovery, I will say honorable mention, Tom Paris and B'Elanna.
Yeah, that's another one. I mean, their relationship was nice, only because it's another one of those that actually felt organic. It was what Tom and B'Elanna was one of those things. It's like they really shouldn't work, but they do. And it's like, and you can tell they get frustrated with each other. They're screaming at each other in the hallways on Voyager.
Klingon rage.
It's not even Klingon rage. That's like love life.
He's
rage.
annoying, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
But then she gets him his TV and shit, and replicates him up a PB&J, and just lets him watch his old serials and falls asleep. And they're a cute couple, but. The way they got together was so awkward.
It really was. I was actually going to say about like all of a sudden they were dating.
He's like, I just want to be your friend, and just like, let me be your friend, and next all of a sudden they're in love when they're running out of oxygen and sharing it out on the spacewalk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's how relationships work. Well, we're about to die. You want to be my girlfriend?
Hey,
we're sharing an oxygen tank. You want to be my you want to share something else?
But yeah, Colbert and Stamets is a really I really enjoyed them though, because Stamets really
complement each other.
They do. They complement each other. Stamets is this massive dick in the early seasons, and Colbert is yeah. Well,
we don't know. Anyway.
Is that why he puts up with him?
Yeah, probably. But Colbert is, kind of softens him a little bit from what I feel. And then in turn, when Colbert's having problems, Stamets kind of softens him. It's like they really complement each other very well. I really like as I said, they were my runner up. I mean, I was thinking about picking them, and then I was like, no, I'm going to go with Worf and Dax, because I kind of figured Adam was going to pick that couple. And I mean, but it is a good, in my opinion, it is a good representation.
It's not just inserting gay character and gay Karen. Oh, let's make them a thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. Hey, this is a real relationship that these two are having. They are already together when we start Discovery. You know what I mean?
And listen, in the later seasons when they, I'm so bad with remembering the names of some of the characters, when they essentially adopt the what's their name?
Adira.
Yeah. Character name. Yeah.
They essentially adopt them. That
was so wholesome and precious. I loved their little family. It was amazing, and it feels so organic, and like you said, it doesn't feel like they're just jammed together and are token. it feels like a real relationship, troubles and all.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I love the scene in the bathroom when they're sitting there brushing they're just chatting like a married couple would. They're brushing their teeth and they're just, that's like one of my favorite scenes out of season one, is like just when I kind of realized those two were a couple, and I like in that scene I was like, this is what we want. We want relatable scenes like this that really give us the ability to relate with these characters. Because Stamets, I was not relating with him. I thought he was an absolute dick. Like I did not like him season one.
Know it
But
all.
when
Very. Yeah, he's hard to relate to. He's hard to like.
it's like our friend Adam. It's like our friend Will, who when he doesn't get his fifth chicken nugget or his fifth chicken tender. That's an inside joke. Sorry, but
Yeah, sure he's not watching.
he's probably not. So, so anyway, if you two want to talk about Stamets and Cole, I always want to say Colbert because Stephen Colbert, but it's Colbert, and Blonde and Tom.
Interesting shipping relationship, Jason. Stamets and Stephen Colbert.
Yeah,
no one's thought of that.
Do you guys have anything else to add about like B'Elanna and Tom, or Colbert and Stamets? Any other good couples you just want to throw out there that we didn't mention yet?
I can't believe we haven't talked about Bev and Jean-Luc.
I don't,
just because it was too will they won't they overdone, and they wouldn't.
And then
the producers wouldn't commit it to it.
Yeah.
They just did it to save season 3, and I'm sure we've talked about this when talking about season 3 of Picard, but Beverly and Picard are great, but you brought back Beverly and created they had a son together that nobody knew about. Is this Star Trek 2? Like, what? That was my first thought. Like, wait, Picard has a secret son? Did they just watch Wrath of Khan and think, oh, that's a great idea?
No, that's the thing. Season 3 of Picard is Terry Matalas shoving his action figures together.
Yeah, Major Rage, not a fan of Picard season 3. He would rather watch
I'm a
season
fan
1.
of it because of the
Actually, yes, I would.
But I didn't like that they just, let's give Picard a son and we'll bring Beverly and him back together. And Beverly didn't talk to anyone for 20 years. Like,
yeah,
right.
That's the complete opposite of her character.
In an era that has subspace communication and holograms, and they didn't talk to any of them for 20. I don't see.
She didn't want to. I mean, it was, and she explained it. She explained it when she was talking to Picard about Jack. Was that Jean-Luc's life was always on the line. There was always some issue, some danger, some attempt on his life, something. And she had already lost a child. She lost Wesley to, amongst the universe, to be a traveler. And she lost her husband to Starfleet. And so she has this, she finds out she's pregnant and just dips, doesn't say anything, just nopes right out of there. And, when she was explaining it in the sickbay of the Titan A, I could see the reasoning. I don't think that I could fault her for that. I know it's a crappy thing, sure. Yeah, it was shitty. You had this child, you didn't tell him. But the thing is that as soon as that connection gets out, then you start putting lives at risk. Now your son's life is at risk because he's Jean-Luc Picard's son. If we can get a hold of him, that's leverage for something. And he's an admiral, a retired admiral. And so people just start looking at it as leverage. So yeah, she had to go dark. And I can't say that I blame Beverly for doing that. I can't blame Carol Marcus for what she did. I mean, at least she had that discussion with Jim after their son David was born, and that made sense too. You know, and here's the thing, people. You got to remember this is Starfleet they're in, and you've got to really consider what part of Starfleet are you doing. Are you in the I'm safe at headquarters Starfleet? I'm safe at the a space dock or space station Starfleet, or am I in the on the edge of the frontier Starfleet where there's always risk, there's always danger, et cetera, et cetera. So in regards to their relationship, the way that everything was explained in season 3 of Picard with the relationship was great. Any question that we had about, because there were podcast recordings that I did talking about, one thing was just the ethics behind Beverly's decision to, did she get pregnant on purpose? Was it an oops? If it was an oops, how in the hell was it at their age? She's at the plus side beyond menopause, and Picard was in his he was in 60s, 70s around the time of Nemesis. I don't recall. I did the math then, but it was just like,
it was
wow.
Nanoprobes.
Yeah, it was freaking miracle there.
But also because I think one thing we don't take into consideration is that human lifespans has been augmented with I think with some kind of genetic, not genetic enhancement, but I feel like between medicine
medical science.
Yeah. I think that with the lifespans, because I think they say humans in Star Trek era lived to 150.
Well, how old was Admiral McCoy in the first? I think it was like
130.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he was still up and around. If lifespans were 30 to 40, 200, 300 years ago.
So I don't know if menopause and all that other stuff would affect a woman the same way in that era of medical technology,
reverse it, I suppose.
So I mean, I'm just saying that's just one thing to consider. Maybe having a kid in your 60s and 70s is actually not outside the realm of possibility in the Star Trek era with that medical technology.
Apparently, it wasn't.
I don't know. I think Big J's onto something actually, but because that's a lot of mental gymnastics and stuff we have to do as fans to make it make sense.
What did McCoy say in Star Trek 4 when he was in the hospital and criticizing the 80s medical technology?
Oh yeah. What is this? The Dark Ages?
Yeah. The Dark Ages?
Just really quick, I'm going to jump. Rick B is here. Rick Berman is here. We're going to talk about your cat suits a little bit. Ginger Greek says Picard hoard himself across the galaxy, which is
he's the biggest one of them all. He's got the most. He's got the biggest body count, I think.
Oh, maybe. Ginger Greek, or Jim says hi to Ginger Greek. Rick B says Picard season 3 was better than Picard season 1 and 2, Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds. I would argue that, but not right now. Ginger Greek says STD, the Kirk years in a sex clinic.
Oh no, Discovery is STD.
It is, yes. I agree. Beverly's reasons made sense to me. Agreeing with you, Jefferson. Ginger Greek says, by the time we get to Star Trek years, we'll be immortal. We'd have stopped cells from breaking down and aging. If they can sell it, they'll do it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Human lifespans increase naturally, so menopause would get pushed further out. It makes sense. And McCoy was 137. So closest without going over, baby. Right here. Why I said 130.
You win a brand new shuttlecraft.
Price is Right rules here since we're talking about 70-year-olds on Star Trek.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Bob Barker.
So
I was about to say that's a nasty dig at Drew Carey.
Oh, I love Drew Carey.
He's great.
I think all in all, Star Trek has certainly shown that in the hands of capable writing staff that they can do relationships, that they've been able to get it to work and get it accomplished. It's just they've done it right and they've done it wrong.
Uh-huh.
I think that it's like anything else. You know, you've got to ask yourself: is this that show? Is the relationship in the Star Trek show just going to be kind of a through line that's good for some extra scenes, or is it going to be more of a major part of of an episode or of a season, like the Picard and Crusher thing in season 3 of Picard? That was more of a season long ramification of the relationship. In DS9, you spent a few seasons each easily on Worf and Jadzia and Odo and Kira. And you can also we've seen it done right, and we've seen it done with series finales. You know, just kind of just shoehorn it, just open your mouth and just push it right in there.
Yeah,
Out of normal relationships.
Bashir and Dax in the final season, yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes.
Or
Perfect
just-
example.
I think we just confused Adam. See, you got to watch the rest to figure out what we're talking about.
Yeah, you got to get caught up.
All right, so let's go around one more time and let's talk. Let everybody give their opinion on why Neelix and Kes is the best relationship in all of Star Trek. And
Jesus.
go.
Oh Jesus. Oh, they're doing it again.
Right.
Fake news. I'm out.
Nope.
I love when Zam though goes off on the whole Kes and Neelix thing, because we were just talking about lifespan.
What? He defends Neelix?
No. He hates it. He thinks
good.
He thinks Neelix is a pedophile.
Okay, agreed. Okay, good.
don't-
That's
but
where I
here's the
figured
thing.
Zam would be with that.
No, but
can't-
here's the thing with that is that
Yeah.
that the race only lives for 10 years. So it depends on when their maturity comes. And I'm not saying, I mean, and even if she was less than 1 year old, like that's still really young. Like
The thing is, though, we have to remind ourselves in Star Trek, in the fictional universe, and if anything like this becomes a reality, is that we can't take what
Impose our societal norms on other societies?
I'm really trying to find a way to say this and not be okaying pedophilia.
oh, absolutely not.
What happens in the Delta Quadrant stays in the Delta Quadrant.
Stop it, Adam.
No.
Stop it.
No. No.
I'm gonna
No,
get a shirt that
it's-
says that.
It's just of course in our society there's age that is too young. We're dealing with lifespans that go to the 80s, 90s, or 100s plus. The Ocampa, you can't take our template and apply it to a species whose they go for 10 years. That's it. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe 8 is the average. 8 or 9. 10 could be just the super high end. It's the same as different franchise, but kind of the same example. It's like a Grogu. He's 50 and considered a baby.
And Mando, he's gonna pound that.
Stop it. Oh, jeez.
I'm just trying to.
We can't take him anywhere.
No,
I'm
can't.
trying to ruin Star Wars for people.
Yes, don't ruin it.
Okay, Kathleen
Disney
Kennedy.
did that well enough on that.
Yes, Kathleen Kennedy.
But
What'd you say, Adam? Oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
said Disney ruined Star Wars enough on that.
Yeah, that's
one.
true. All right, go ahead, Big J.
so yes, Neelix and Kes makes us uncomfortable applying our sensibilities to their relationship because of we don't have that understanding of an Ocampa's lifespan.
And I agree with you on that. That's why I went like, do I sit there and defend Neelix? And no, I'm not going to sit there and argue with people about it, like whatever. But I'm not going to sit there and
I'm not trying to fight for a relationship. I'm just trying to tell you you're misapplying something here. It's not. Yes, it might be weird to us, but it's kind of like I can't wrap my head around aquatic-based species like there was the Zindi aquatics
Mm-hmm.
There was
They
this.
just called them the Aquatics.
Yeah, the aquatics. There was another one in Voyager. I don't recall the name of them, but basically any species that develop technology outside of any medium besides H2O is hard for me to wrap my head around.
Oh, do you mean
Uh,
species 839?
I think it was 839. You know, them. It's just like how do you develop anything in the water? Electricity, power, et cetera, et cetera. Well, here's the problem. It's because I am not able to think outside of what is normal for us.
I mean, we're like 70%
That's
water.
okay.
You know, I mean,
Well, but I mean, we're not.
But we're not surrounded and inundated by it.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
We're not a
AJ.
water world.
Yeah, no, I get what you're
Water
saying,
world.
and I agree. There's a little bit. I'm definitely applying, Western sensibilities and to a fictional situation for sure.
Yes.
But just it inherently makes me uncomfortable. It's more the way Neelix acts about it than the age. The literal age for me. Neelix is very gaslighty. Neelix is very possessive. Neelix just doesn't treat Kess like a person most of the time. He dotes on her and treats her like a possession, like
yeah,
some sort
that's
of.
Yeah.
that's the
Felix
creepier
will
part for
treat her
me.
better.
If you're gonna say you don't like the Neelix and Cass relationship, say it for those reasons. Not, ooh, she's 2 years old. Well,
I was just saying, oh, I agree with Zam, and I would have been shocked if he had defended the relationship at all, because I think me and him have had the conversation about like the possessiveness before.
well, yeah, he was.
Yeah,
super
that's
possessive.
the weird part of it is, So, all right. So I threw something in the private chat. If you guys want to look at that really quick, I'm going to read some comments while you guys answer that. So we have Rick B, who says that yes, with capable writers, they can do anything. Alex Kurtzman and company are not capable writers. Agree to disagree. Neelix isn't a nonce. This is true. We have just established that he is not a nonce, but he is just a very possessive and controlling boyfriend. Ginger Greek says, well, a way to contextualize that is our own lifespan 400 years ago was 35 to 40. So as soon as puberty hit, they bred. Don't mean to sound like, I'm guessing, like a creep, but that's how you'd contextualize it with Neelix, etc. Yep, you are correct. Rick B, nothing wrong with Neelix and Kess's relationship. She's not human and only lives 9 years. When they got together, she was an adult. This is true. All right. So let's do a speed round here of quick ships. We're gonna call it quick ships. Quick ships. We'll start with.
I like the sound effects.
Yeah.
Can we get a soundboard of your sound effects?
Oh god. It'd be mostly me
Go on.
mumbling and stuttering. Okay, so Adam, we'll start with you. Give us a ship that you want, and let's not do Bashir and Garrick. We all know it, we all love it, and it's all it's all canon in our minds. I mean, if you want to,
I'm going to break up Balana and Tom Paris and make it Tom and Harry Kim.
Okay, I can see that. Listen, if anyone all over the
friendship
universe
grows into something more, that would be my ship that's not Garrick and Bashir.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I think Bashir gets like more ships than anything because it's Bashir or like romances because it's Bashir and Dax in the final season, Esri Dax. It's O'Brien and Bashir, and then Garrick and Bashir. So anyway,
O'Brien and Bashir. Oh,
yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
Bromance. Yeah, well, it's at least a bromance. Let's put it
okay.
at least a bro. Okay, Major Rage, your turn.
If we're just gonna keep going with the all but official canon ships that just were denied by Berman, I'm just gonna give a big shout out to all the poly representation on DS9.
Okay.
Keiko to Kira. Hey, please hang out with my husband some more while you carry our child.
Yeah, right. That
Here,
I mean,
go off alone, please. She's like compersion queen.
Time
Like,
apart.
just Cisco's the dad of that whole place, and the rest of them are dating, or in a bromance for like at least. So
Dad
well, we
and
yeah,
didn't talk
sister.
about Cisco and what's her name? Oh God, I can't remember her name now.
Penny Jordan's
Penny
character,
Johnson Gerald's
It's
the actress who played Cassidy Yates.
Cassidy Yates. Yes.
That's
So
it.
yeah, that was a good one. I'm not going to dive into, but I like that relationship. I even like that there was turmoil in there with the whole her helping the Maquis and stuff like that. So I thought that was a good way of creating dramatic dynamic between them two. But she was still doing something right. Anyway, Jefferson, you got one?
Okay, so you'll have to excuse me because I'm Generation X, but without making me stop and Googling it, I just realized I might not know exactly what shipping means. Uh,
Just
so
two
could,
Oh,
people
you
you want
put
to see
two
together.
characters into a relationship. You're shipping them. You're
It's like a headcanon relationship.
yeah. It's
like
your
like
own
a
fanfic.
like a romantic relationship or
Yeah.
just
Yes.
Yeah,
oh that's what
yeah. So
that's what shipping means.
like Harry
Uh,
Potter, they do it with Dean and Seamus. What are some other famous ships?
Clefa from Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, Cloud and Tifa, yeah.
Cloud and Tifa versus
Listen,
Clarith.
I ship Jifa, which is Jason and Tifa. So I mean,
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, and
What's
then you've
yours,
got
Jason,
Zutara
then?
from Avatar.
that's tough. Um,
or just two characters you thought should have gotten together.
that didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, missed connections on Craigslist.
God, Rick Berman. Rick Berman says I ship Alex Kurtzman in my boot. Oh, and then of course Ginger Greek follows it up. I ship Kurtzman in my fist.
I'm trying to think
I don't. I mean, we kind of
because
hit a lot of them. I'm having a hard time too. I mean,
I'm having a difficult time thinking who
I got
do
one.
I
Here, while you're thinking,
yeah let me think what's yours.
the Rutherford and Ta'an from Lower Decks.
You mean Talin?
Talin, sorry, yes, Talin.
Okay. Okay.
Just
Okay.
because I feel like they would be an interesting dynamic, and then Rutherford also technically his cyborg implant is Vulcan, so like they could play with that a little bit, where he kind of gets a different understanding of Vulcans just because of that's kind of wired into him a little bit. I thought that would be an interesting but he's also very expressionate and very kind of like, you know, comedy driven.
I got
could
one.
work.
Oh,
Okay.
Mine would be Kirk and La'an.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that would be my one.
Khan.
Oh,
I don't know who
Khan?
you are.
Yeah, no, not no.
Khan Noonien
La'an from
Singh?
Strange New Worlds. La'an
Never,
Noonien
never
Singh.
heard of you.
Oh,
Oh, but apparently I had a thing for one of your descendants. But yeah, that's the thing
That's a good
is it would make it would make it kind of
Well,
problematic
teaser
if they
in Strange
spend
Worlds.
too much time together because you do have to consider that in about 10 years from the events of Strange New Worlds, Kirk's supposed to meet Khan Noonien Singh and apparently feel like that's the first time he's met anyone of that family or of that name.
Just wasn't relevant to bring up the past.
No, it's not. Yeah, that's the thing. Also, want to tell fans is it's not always relevant to bring up everything. Was it relevant at all to have said, even though we know that episode was in the 60s and we're talking about something that's being done today, it's different. Do we really think that there was any relevancy to Kirk saying anything to Khan about, oh, yeah, are you related to so-and-so? No, there was not. But I like the dynamic that Kirk and La'an have. So that's one that we know is not going to happen. But I think that'd be my one.
Okay.
Final parting
Sorry.
words.
Oh.
One thing we didn't talk about that we should have, but we don't need to talk about is Data and Tasha.
That was a fling. I don't even know.
Oh,
That
They banged.
That
So,
was
what else
yeah.
you want?
it's fully
It
functional.
was the Naked Time, or Naked Now is the sequel to Naked Time. It was a virus that made them
Anyway.
drunk.
Yeah, I mean that was. I think if Denise Crosby had stayed with the show, that it would have been very interesting to have a dynamic, to have the show continue on with Data and Yar, knowing that hookup was there, and just have that always be
The
in the
constant
background.
walk of shame.
Right.
Like, oh, let's go the other direction.
Yeah, I think there was a missed opportunity there with the pretty much a pretty consistent walk of shame there.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I think that wraps it up. We've kind of talked our shit. Happy Valentine. Well, it's technically Happy Singles Awareness Day because it's technically the 15th when we're recording this, but we are celebrating Valentine's Day also. So with all that being said, Jefferson, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Where can people find you at?
All right, so you can find us, you can find Beyond Trek Podcast at starfleetpodcast.net/Beyond Trek. If you go on Google and just search Beyond Trek Podcast, keep in mind you do need to search all three words. If you just do Beyond Trek, you'll get something completely different. So Beyond Trek Podcast is the name of the podcast, and that's our website, starfleetpodcast.net/Beyond Trek. Hope you check out our YouTube channel. Lots of videos there, lots of different topics and things we discuss. Anything from fan film reviews to canon Star Trek reviews, different Star Trek related news, things like that. Pretty much anything about Star Trek, we get into.
Okay.
Thank you.
Major Rage, where can we find you at, my friend?
I have a gaming channel and gaming streams at Major Rage TV on YouTube and Twitch, and you can find me on Facebook at Major Rage TV as well, where I post all of my stream announcements and video upload links.
All right. And Ensign Adam, where can we find you at?
Here, occasionally. But no, actually, you can find me at Lord_Swells, SWELLS. That's where I post pictures of my pets.
All right.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
We
Right
love,
here.
we love pets here.
Hell yeah!
We have
a Pet of
an
the
award
Year
for pets.
category. Yes,
Yeah,
for
Pet of the Year
gold
category.
glasses.
So-
Oh, can we like do them up? Okay, I've got one right here. Hi.
Aw.
Who's that?
Bruce.
Bruce. Is he Bruce Wayne?
He was, yes. He had a
Was.
little bat symbol when he was a kitty.
Oh. No, we love pets at NerdTube.
Oh, yeah. As I said, we love them all here. And me, well, you can find me as well here, as well as on my gaming channel, Milquetoast Gaming, Milquetoast_gaming on YouTube and on Twitch. So, with that all being said, everybody, thank you very much for joining us here today for this wonderful topic. If you haven't already, please consider liking, commenting your ships or your favorite relationships in the Star Trek, not just Star Trek, the Star Trek. And yeah, with all that being said, everybody, please take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.